true crime? Are you a true crimer?
I am most certainly not. I prefer my entertainment crime-wise to be entirely fictional in nature.
False. Fake crime.
There is one podcast that I listen to that is like technically a true crime podcast. It's not.
Is it Last Podcast on the Left?
It's not.
Okay.
Because it's not about murders. It's about like they don't ever talk about people whose crime is that somebody died or that they murdered someone. It's all like scammers and con men and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, that's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm not a true crime person either. It just feels like exploitative of victims, right?
Yeah. I kind of agree, yeah.
It doesn't seem right. Yeah.
Agreed. Hard agree.
Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, Kenny. We are here to talk about beverages, apparently. You got a drink, Kenny?
Well, I just happened to briefly mention that I did have a new drink. This is, coming out. And it's literally like new in the literal sense. The drink just came out. I picked up a bottle of Starry from the store yesterday or the day before. Starry just came out like a couple of weeks ago, and it is the replacement of Sierra Mist.
Starry soda.
Yep, it's lemon lime soda.
I have seen these cans. Yep. So it's just a rebrand of Sierra Mist, which is...
I don't know if it's literally a rebrand, as in it's literally the exact same drink and like just with the name changed, or if it is a slightly different recipe. I'm not sure because it has been a long time since I've had Sierra Mist, and apparently it's going to continue to be a long time, I guess.
Sorry, let me just interrupt. I opened an article on simplemost.com about this beverage, and I am staring at 3 of the exact same ads for the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld on Amazon.
Well, you could buy it.
I've thought about it several times, but no.
Fair enough.
Let's get back to this. Let's talk about this this easy to drink and optimally sweet Pepsi product.
Well, like I was saying, it is the replacement of Sierra Mist, and I don't know if it's literally just Sierra Mist but rebranded, or if there actually is like a slightly different recipe, or if it tastes a little different, because like I said, it's been a long time since I've had Sierra Mist. I'm not sure if it actually does taste exactly the same or not.
Do you want me to tell you what this article has to say about the flavor?
Yes, please.
Specifically in comparison to Sierra Mist. Starry has, quote, higher citrus flavors that are true to fruit and more aromatic, end quote, offering a more balanced, cleaner, and crisper finish than Sierra Mist. What the fuck are people talking about, like mass market sodas, as if they're like artisan cold brew coffees, which people shouldn't be talking about that way either. I'm several levels of frustrated at this. Anyway, crack it open.
Okay, you got it. I actually bought a bottle, not a can.
Okay, cool.
So I'm screwing the lid off. I'm screwing the lid off right now. I'm about to take a sip. It is more mild and mellow than, like, say, Sprite is. It has less, like, I don't want to say tartness because that implies it has a flavor, but it's like, it's less sharp.
It's got less bite.
Yes, it does. It is a bit more mild and smooth of a flavor, and it does kind of actually taste different from like a Sprite or a 7-Up or like another lemon lime soda, It actually does taste a little bit different than that.
Okay. All right. So it's something new. That's good.
It's actually not bad. I think I might buy this again.
All right.
And that's my report on Starry.
A fitting soda to discuss on this podcast, because this is a show about the horrific creatures that live among the stars, right? Right?
It certainly is. I loved it. Phenomenal.
That wasn't forced at all. This is Crew Expendable. I am Hallstrom.
And I am Rohrbacher.
And we're reading more Alien comics today, people. This is
we sure are.
We're gonna do a quick run through here, because I think on the last released episode we might have said that we were kicking off Aliens Outbreak, and we do have a couple of those recorded. But then I noticed that we had skipped Alien Icarus number 4, and number 5 is also out. So
yep,
The plan is we're going to do back-to-back episodes on Alien Icarus, issues 4 and 5.
As in, we're doing a separate episode for each one of those.
Right. Then we're going to go into 3 straight episodes covering Aliens Outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, Icarus issue 6 should be out, and we will do that at the end of Outbreak, wrapping up both series and wrapping up this third arc of Marvel Alien Comics, but this first in this volume. It's confusing. I'm wondering if they'll reset immediately to do another like series, like a number 1, or if they'll get up to 12 again. We'll see.
I would say it's Marvel, so I wouldn't be surprised. They tend to do that a lot.
Yeah. And as usual with these Alien Marvel comic issues, neither of us have read the book. We're going to read the book now and talk about it as we read it. And, you know, sometimes I do a little bit of cleanup on these just to cut out some of the silence and things like that as we're perusing pages. I think I want to take this one. No, we're doing no edits on this one.
Oh shit! I better have something clever to say constantly.
Once we start the read, we're gonna go like true commentary, and that is not at all so that I can get this thing turned around and released like later tonight or tomorrow.
Fair enough.
But yeah, well, so we will read this kind of live together, and I'm ready to jump in, but Kenny, do we need to remind the people where we left off in the last Alien Icarus issue?
Well, here's the thing. My answer to that question is yes. However, it is a tentative yes, because unlike the previous times, I don't really remember very well what happened at the end of number 3. So I do think the answer is yes, but unfortunately, I am not able to actually answer the question of what it is.
Let's take it through maybe together from the very beginning. The story started with a planet called Tobler 9 being overran by xenomorphs, right?
And it was like a big, like, hidden away Weyland-Yutani, like, R&D planet. I remember that.
Right. Separately, at sometime later in, I guess, years later or sometime later, the planet Perseus 9 was, which is a farming colony, had some kind of, like, horrible radioactive, like, nuclear disaster.
Yeah, it was some kind of like nuclear meltdown or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
Right. And the U.S. Army, I believe, wants to send in some people to Tobler 9 to recover a sample of a biologic that could essentially cure the Perseus 9 population of radiation poisoning. And they have decided to hire a legendary band of synthetics, the SEAL Team, to infiltrate Tobler 9 and recover this sample of a biologic which was derived from an ovomorph, a special ovomorph, apparently. The SEAL Team...
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. Who are the members of our SEAL Team? There is...
I remember Seth.
There's Seth, and...
There is a redhead. There is one that is kind of vaguely Latina, and she's the leader.
Freya.
I don't remember what the redhead's name was. Is it Nora? Is that her name?
I believe Nora is the Asian synthetic.
Okay. All right. And then, there's the Asian one, there's the redhead, there's
Eli.
That's the other one's name. Yeah, there we go.
Eli's got the big battle axe.
Yes, he does. I remember the battle axe. That was cool.
Redhead's name we don't remember, but Freya is the leader. So the SEAL Team sets down on Tobler 9, fights a bunch of xenomorphs, thinks the whole planet has been, just overrun with them, but they discover a bunch of human survivors, right? None of whose names I remember.
I don't remember any of them either. Yeah,
they all look rad and decked out in Mad Max like survival gear with cool goggles and knives everywhere.
I remember the goggles on the kid. I remember that.
Yeah, much. The human survivors tell the SEAL Team like, "Oh, the ovomorph hatched a long time ago. This whole colony is a result of that one modified ovomorph. So presumably that was a queen, right? A queen chest burster." And so if you want a sample, you just got to get any old egg off of this place. we'll take you to the hive. So then the SEAL team and these human survivors all set out in their like a D&D adventuring party with their cloaks and big axes and shit.
Yeah, I remember they were wearing the Strider cloaks, I believe is how we described them.
Yeah, and
Yeah, right.
the redheads got a bow and arrow because it's mandatory for redheads to have that in anything fantasy.
I have been playing Horizon Forbidden West, so
Sure.
yes, that is correct.
Also, that Pixar movie Brave, right? Also
that, yes.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think the second one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, it's you have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So they go into like a kind of a flooded, like, I don't even know what to call it.
It's like sort of like a tiny reservoir or like a riverbed or like, runoff is a good term, something like that.
Yeah. And
yeah,
they find the queen, but as they find the alien queen, the humans betray the synthetics and shut the door behind them, trapping them in there with it because they don't want any of Wayland's stuff getting off planet. One minor detail which we keep glossing over. Instead of finding the ovomorph in the lab in issue 2, they found a bunch of insects that seem to have been modified by our guess's pathogen.
Yeah, that's our guess, yep.
Because there are also Prometheus pathogen jars, and one of those modified samples got loose and bit one of the humans, or landed on one of the humans' necks at least.
Oh, I remember that part, and she was kind of like flirting with, I believe it was Eli, and he's like, absolutely the hell not. And then he like notices the bug, and he's like, you know what? Fuck these guys, so I'm not even going to say anything about it. Yeah.
Yes. Eli hates humans, understandably, because the SEAL team and the synthetics in general have been treated like shit by them. And the SEAL team is only doing this mission to gain citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've made a bunch of predictions along the way. I don't remember any of them. Certainly.
Neither do I.
Don't right now.
It's fine.
But it seems we're halfway through the series. It seems like this pathogen stuff is going to come back and something's going to go bad with the humans. And my prediction right now is nobody's getting off this rock.
That's a pretty good prediction, not going to lie.
Yeah. So without further ado, grab yourself a nice Starro soda.
It's starry. Nice try.
And crack open this issue of Marvel's Alien Volume 2, Number 4, Icarus, Part 4 of 6, and let's dive into this bad boy.
Yeah, I got the cover right in front of me right now, and I got to say, it's looking pretty sweet.
Yes, we see Freya again on the cover. She's predominantly on all the covers, I think, up to this point, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and
I think so.
She's crouched and reaching for an M41A pulse rifle as a queen stands over her, holding another body up against a wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another casualty at the bottom corner as well.
Now, is it just me not really remembering spatial geometry from when we watched Aliens, or is this queen bigger than they normally are?
This seems like a big queen. We noticed. I think we noticed that
big,
last time too. Like, this is a big girl. You know?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I know Frey is crouched down, so it's kind of hard to really super accurately judge.
Right.
But like, I'm like, based on like the perspectives here and everything, I'm guessing she might only come up to the queen's, like, you know, bended like backwards dog leg knee.
Something.
And so this queen's probably like 18, 20 feet tall, something like that, which seems bigger than they normally are.
It does. It's hard for me to say, because the queen in Aliens did seem pretty big, but not this big. You do see a queen in Fireteam Elite, and that is a gigantic queen. But just an ordinary queen. So the size, I'm not really sure how like to compare this. I would say that like if the one in Aliens was maybe T-Rex sized, this one is Indominus Rex sized.
All right, fair enough.
Does that track?
Yes.
This one might,
as far as like the ratios and stuff is concerned, I got you.
This one might just be a little bit larger, but it might be maybe older than the one on LV 426, right?
Yeah, who knows? I hear you.
Anyway, it does seem like a big old queen with just a big old head. and big old hands. Cover by Bjorn Berens, the main cover in any case. Excellent. I'm really loving all the covers in this series so far.
Yeah, I've gone on record before on a previous Icarus episode that I think his art style absolutely like goes perfectly with the like, purposely not like fake but like unnatural lookingness of
Yeah.
just how a xenomorph is designed. I think he was the perfect choice for the covers. They all look great. Every cover
Yes.
I like more than the last. They all rule.
And they're super muted in colors. We don't talk about that too much, but we're going to talk about the interior colors when we turn the page. So these covers they're kind of like warm greens and grays, and everything looks sort of dusty. Does that track?
Yeah, it looks kind of like everything's sort of covered in ash and has like this muted like whitish filter over it, which actually like works really well in the context of the images.
It does. Yeah, the covers are all solid. But let's turn to page 1 here, where we are just once again hit with like this neon glow of an interior that I absolutely love. We talked about this before.
Compared to the cover, this is an extremely like colorful and loud and bright page.
Bold colors, contrasting colors. It looks great. The interior art absolutely blows me away every time. Great looking book, just a fun book to look at. Again, Julius Ota and Yen Nitro. Julius Ota is the artist. Yen Nitro is the colorist. And Clayton Cowles is the letterer. And, of course, Philip Kennedy Johnson is the writer. Everyone just knocking it out of the park. I love this stylized thuck, like sound effect from the crossbow. With the big O.
the TH and the CK are like normal letters, but then the O is both a lot bigger and kind of like a hollowed out like bubble O. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks fun.
Great stylistic choices inside here. And our steel team is just locked in battle with these xenomorphs.
They're the xenomorphs are trying to kill him, and they're kicking a lot of ass. They're screaming at Eli to open up this shutter that got locked on him.
Yeah, he's like cooking it with a flamethrower, like trying to melt the lock, I guess. And succeeds.
Yeah. Let's see.
Almost. He almost succeeds, I guess. And he is the one, Seth is the one in the relationship with Nora. And she calls him Babe, right?
Yeah.
So she says, we need to hold the big one off till he's done. Bro.
Right. And then he finally pulls out the big axe.
Yes, dude. Nora is like point blank crossbowing Xenos in the chest, and Eli is swinging the gigantic axe.
And then let's see. She pulls out a fucking pair of swords to fight this guy one-on-one. To fight the queen.
She's fighting the queen one-on-one with swords, dude.
With a pair of swords. Extremely cool.
She says, okay, bitch, you and me. What the fuck?
I love the running gag in the Alien franchise where every single time a queen shows up, somebody always calls her a bitch.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, man. It's the patriarchy. But this is sick though. The queen like spits acid at her. She's like flipping all around.
She like shoots acid, fucking Dilophosaurus style. That's pretty badass.
And Nora's just like, I really hope it's Nora.
Let's see.
She got her arm off.
She cuts off an arm, slices into her face.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass. She's swinging around all ninja style.
She does lose her swords, and now she's like face to face. Oh, fuck. Tell me when you get there.
Okay, yeah, I just loaded it up. Oh, shit. Damn. She got owned. Fuck.
Nora is down. Queen bit her neck out.
Yeah, just ripped her entire like throat, upper torso area out.
Holy shit. I didn't see that coming.
I was not expecting her to be the one that got killed, honestly.
No, and the queen's just like ripped her body to
Yeah, and
pieces.
then the queen literally just rips her in half like the two T-Rexes from the Lost World.
Damn, dude.
But luckily, they got the gate open, at least.
Seth is having a hard time with this. Freya's
Yeah, he's not really enjoying that one.
no.
And then there is a big series of explosions, and the entire cavern collapses right on top of the queen's head, I guess.
I guess. Damn, dude. Pour one
Yeah,
out for Nora. That's our first Steel Team casualty. That's our first casualty. Like aside from like the nameless. I know. Okay. Well, the nameless soldiers that the Steel Team murdered in issue 1, and also the
I was gonna say they did kill some of those. Yep, they did kill some of those soldiers.
Yeah.
The residents, of course, but I wasn't really counting them. But
no, but this is our first like named character death in this series.
Yeah, this is the first like major character that died. Yes.
Yeah.
Shit.
Meanwhile,
all right, we cut back to the humans.
Yeah.
And damn.
I don't know what they're just walking. It's the old lady who kind of was in charge of the survivors, right?
And then she's leading the group of survivors that went with the Steel Team, and then she's leading them back, and then the one that got bit by that bug starts vomiting black bile. That's pretty fun.
Okay, so her name is Lee. Lee is vomiting Prometheus goo looking stuff.
That is correct. I would refer to that as black goo or black oil, I believe, as an X-Files reference is what I've been calling it in my head.
Black oil. Yeah, damn, she does not look good.
Yeah, she looks not just not good. She looks like shit, dog. Yeah. She really just she looks bad. Woo.
Should I make that picture of her vomiting the thumbnail for the
Yes.
We'll see. If it looks good.
Like the entire center of her face is like purple, like there's a huge bruise, and like you can see the veins in her skin coming away from her eyes and all. Yeah, she really, really looks bad. Ooh.
She's kind of mute. This is almost like I wonder if we're gonna see her mutate, if it's gonna have any resemblance to what we saw in the Fire and Stone books.
Well, I guess we'll have to keep reading to find out.
Meanwhile, in the wreckage, the 4 remaining members of the Steel Team are kind of out of the fire and into the
and I believe this is Seth. I believe this is Seth here that's talking.
Yes. Oh, he says we never finished it. Back home, we were making a boat. It's not finished. So he and Nora were building a boat. Melody is the leader of the humans. Okay, that's
I believe Lee called her Mel on the previous page, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see. And Freya's still like, we got to go find some of those eggs. Yeah. And then Seth gets real mad at her and starts swearing at her and chewing her out.
Is your issue edited? Like,
yes.
Yours is showing like $%, $$ instead of.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. If those of you reading along, if yours has the actual swear words, write us and let us know what they are. mother@crewexpendable.net.
Although, due to the context, I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of what they are.
Yeah, I want confirmation.
If somebody listening out there has a version of the issue where the swears are not censored, let me know where you got it, because I want to know where you were able to buy a Marvel comic that was not a Max comic that didn't censor the swears.
These should kind of be in the Max line though, shouldn't they? Like,
probably, but I don't really know if Marvel's doing any more Max comics that aren't Punisher comics anymore.
There's a parental advisory on the cover. Right.
There is.
They should put the words in.
They should. I mean, it would certainly add to the verisimilitude of it being an alien story, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
This means that we will never see the words Arcturian Poontang printed in a Marvel alien comic.
This is me praying glad that I won't. But anyway, like we were saying, Eli is real fucking mad that Freya still wants to continue to go on with the mission. And so Eli's even like, I'm going back to that bunker to kill all of them.
Yeah.
And then the redhead, who I still don't remember what her name is, interrupts him and be like, don't even bother. They're not there anymore. And so like, oh, that's why Melody was leading them somewhere in the previous page. She was leading them away from the bunker because she assumed a SEAL team was coming back for them.
Yeah. She says,
I mean, fair.
Well, she's also like, they're going for our shuttle. Like guarantee Melody's taking people to our shuttle. Yeah. they want off this rock. Yeah. Makes sense, I guess. But like I don't know. The way they were talking, if I remember correctly, last issue of like, we can't let this stuff get back. We can't let this stuff off the planet. Like they've clearly been exposed to it. I don't know. Maybe it's them wanting to escape doesn't track for me so much as like I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I'll be honest, dude. I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to say either.
I don't think Melody didn't seem particularly interested to leave the planet, I guess is what I'm saying. She's
okay. Yeah. I get you.
Like the priority.
So what you're saying is this motivation seems like it's coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, and maybe it's wrong. Maybe this is just the redhead guessing. I really want to find out her name.
Yeah, it's somewhere. But like you said though, it's positive they're going for their shuttle. Eli gets mad and storms off, and then Seth is like, everyone else go after him, I'll catch up because I'm staying behind to grieve for Nora, which I'm sure is going to turn out great.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for the name, didn't find it. Okay,
that's fine.
Seth, come on, we have to. Humans grieve for their dead, even animals do. Did we love Nora any less? Seth looking a little David-y to me, not gonna lie. Little.
Well,
you think he's the same model?
I can tell you right now that of the two of us, you are the only one that noticed that. I do not have any strong opinions about it because David does not live in my psyche as much as he does yours.
Yeah, so in my research, we're going to touch on something about issue 3 at the end of this, because in my research looking for the SEAL team, the redhead's name, I found an interesting observation about issue 3 that I want to get into. But let's keep going with this one.
All right. Basically, the deal here is that Seth goes back to where Nora died and talks so much about like how he can't cry, but like crying is part of the human grief process. So in order to make it, biologically similar, he rips his own eyes out so that he starts bleeding like fluid, so that it looks like tears running down his face.
Yeah, dude, this is intense.
And talks about how much he loved her and how he doesn't know if love is even possible because he, at the end of the day, is just a thing.
I love the detail on his hands. Those, like, the tattered fabric remains of his gloves on his hands. I don't know. It looks really cool.
Every single panel on that page is extremely cool looking.
Yeah, it's like it's gross and like beautiful at the same time.
Let's see. The humans make it back to SEAL Team's shuttle.
So they are after the fucking shuttle. Okay.
Let's see. This guy's name is apparently Brittle, and he only has one eye.
Let's not call the old frail man brittle. That's kind of fucked.
Well, maybe he chose the name. Who knows?
Sure.
But anyway, he seems to be the pilot, so
Okay.
they take off,
They're taking it
and
back to the bunker at least. Maybe not.
Lee is yes, they're going back to the bunker to pick up the rest of them, and Lee is looking even more like shit than she used to. She's
Yeah.
now like actively like emaciated and starting to like become rail thin. Like you can see her bones underneath her skin now, and she is once again sitting in the shuttle just vomiting up a black ooze.
Yeah. And she's asking for help. And
Very cool, I guess.
so she is like she is mutating and she is going kind of
She sure is.
kind of feral here. And what the hell, dude? Um,
Yeah, her she starts to fully begin to what looks like a mutate. I would call that a mutation. And
this
she starts crawling around on the floor and attacking people, and it looks like her skin is starting to melt and burn, and her bones are like cracking out of position, which is fun.
what is she doing with her tongue, dude? Did she just like rip that other guy's head in half with her tongue? Is that what's going on here? It's pretty gruesome.
Um yeah, she I
Yeah.
guess has some kind of prehensile tongue, and ripped his lower jaw off by hitting it so hard with her prehensile tongue.
Or just punched it, like just tongue punched him off.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Cool.
knocked his jaw right off.
Where do I say these things
And
on the microphone? And I'm not editing this, so me saying tongue punch is staying in.
yep, I
Um,
was just going to
God.
gloss right over it, and then you brought it up, and so now we're talking about it.
And here's our man Brittle opening fire on Lee.
While she is covered in blood and seemingly eating this guy, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Eli and the girls are all trucking it towards the shuttle now.
And then it buzzes right over their head,
Yeah, it
like
does.
north by northwest style, just
Fine.
feet over their head.
This fine cover panel. This is the thumbnail. This was designed to be thumbnail art for the podcast. This page right here. Shuttle crashes and explodes.
And they manage to take cover,
Yeah.
and that one page doesn't really actually have a whole lot of stuff on it. They just take cover and that's it.
No.
The next one though has a lot of cool stuff on it.
Yeah.
Lee comes out, and she's her limbs have started to turn xenomorphy,
Yeah.
and it looks like she doesn't have eyes.
Yeah. Her
And
eyes
she
either
has like kind of a Thanos thing going on, where her skin has like a whole bunch of like vertical lines embedded
right.
into it.
Either she doesn't have eyes or her eyes have just become like black, like pearls, and they're just reflecting a lot of kind of like like black eyes. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The eyeball, not like she got punched. And then
And then a bunch of xenomorphs come out and attack this lady.
yeah, well, do they attack
Well,
her?
start to, and then she runs away,
They're
and
checking
all
her
the
out.
xenomorphs follow her when she runs away.
Yeah, as the steel team watches, right?
Yep.
It was
And
human. It was one
then
of the scavs. I guess scav is short for scavengers. The girl Eli spoke to.
yep.
He,
And then he admits that he saw one of them with an insect on him.
yeah, he says she'd broken one of the cages from the lab with the mutated insects. Must have been carrying some kind of alien protein. Frey's like, you didn't tell us, and he's like, yeah,
He's like, yeah, why the fuck would I?
right,
Like, like, if I don't say anything, then they kill
yeah.
themselves so that we don't have to.
I,
Win-win,
I
baby.
I let the organics who tried to kill us destroy themselves instead. He keeps calling
Yeah.
them organics. I love it. And Freya's like, there are children there, you son of a bitch, and Redhead's
And
like,
which is a very funny line to me, because like she's like, there are children there. Like, why would Eli respond with anything other than so?
yeah, Eli hates organics, but also the beacon they need to call General Thunderbolt Ross
Yep.
is also there, and they need that to
Which
get
means
home.
they apparently need to go back. And speaking of, we cut to the people at the bunker, and they see only one member of Mel's crew coming back to the bunker.
Looks like it's
And
just
then
Lee.
well, they don't know that yet, but they open the door, and something's about to happen. Let's go to the next page and see what.
Holy fuck. Lee
Oh,
charging
cool.
in with a whole bunch
Lee
of Xenos.
literally bites someone's face skin off while there is a whole horde of Xenomorphs that she led into the bunker. And they just start ripping people into shreds.
Holy fuck. This is a violent comic book, dude.
The last panel on this page rules because it's one guy is standing there, and then two Xenomorphs run by, one on each side, and as they're running by, both of them just slash his guts open as they're running by. And so he's like, yeah, and like all of his internal organs are coming out.
This is
very cool. Love it. Love it.
So those Xenos weren't attacking her. They were checking Lee out. And then they decided they were following Lee. That's what they were.
They were pulling an Eldon is basically what happened. Like she became their ruler.
Yeah, but she's not a synth. So this is a crazy. So this isn't just like a straight pathogen mutation as far as we know.
Let's see. She is standing on top of some stage podium thing, releasing the exact same shriek that Xenomorphs do, while we see a bunch of them running around, and there is a severed head flying through the panel. And then we cut to a row of lockers, and there is a living child watching everything happen in front of one of the lockers. And then we have a little chyron that says, next, death in the family. So I guess that is how the issue ends.
That is the end. But we get a preview of issue 5, which again, we will be talking about on the next episode. The cover for issue 5 is Eli and Freya like knife fighting with a bunch of Xenomorphs around them.
Yeah, just like standing there watching like some kind of audience or something.
Yeah. Boy, this heist book took a turn, didn't it?
Sure did.
Wasn't
expecting those last couple of pages, that's for sure.
Yeah. We're 2/3 of the way through this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's going to stick the landing. I think it's going to do it.
I mean, the comic hasn't really done anything that I so far think was an actively bad choice.
Yeah.
So I am inclined, like, by this point, it has deserved whatever ounce of goodwill I feel like giving it. I'm going into this final act of the story assuming that the ending is going to be as good as the rest of the comic has been so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty solid. It's been really, really fun. A lot of unexpected twists, right? Especially in this. And again, a joy to look at. Visually very impressive, and the writing also is very good. This is as I've said, the best of Philip K. Johnson's Alien arcs. I've read his other Marvel work, and I've read all of this, and this is, he really gets it now.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
We got some business we got to take care of, and this is, now that we're out of the book, maybe I can do some editing. We need to identify the red hair lady's name.
All right.
I found the name.
Okay.
Astrid.
I cannot believe I forgot that. Dang.
Astrid. We'll never forget it again. Shout out to Astrid. I do like Astrid's character. She does seem to be kind of the voice of reason, right?
She seems to be the fully sane one, yes.
Yeah. Freya and Eli obviously have a conflict, and Nora and Seth were a couple, and Astrid's
and then she was just kind of chilling.
She's just the one with the info, right?
Yeah, she's just kind of chilling,
Yeah, so we'll never forget Astrid's name again. It'll help that we're talking about the comic again. on the next recording, so it won't be a month in between.
For sure.
So one bit of business down. The other bit of business is this article I found while searching about this book that mentions something in issue 3. It's an interesting article, but it's specifically a panel we brushed over. Again, this is back in issue 3 when the humans are the human survivors, the scavs are taking the Steel team into the underground bunker area or the runoff area, you know?
Yeah.
And they trap the Xenomorph with the net, and then they cut like pieces off of it, right?
Yeah.
And I believe it is Freya says, David wept. Are they cutting trophies off of the corpse? She says David's name.
Yeah, I noticed.
as in like...
Or rather, I noticed now. I didn't at the time, but...
Yeah. This Screen Rant article seems to be... It's a Screen Rant article that mentions this, and it seems to be still making the claim that David created the Xenomorph, even though I believe that's essentially been retconned at this point, right? Like, it was never supposed to be that way, and Ridley Scott tried to make it that way, but I believe material since then has proven, and many discussions on this show have proven that just isn't the case. Right.
Well, I mean that's kind of a sticky claim because, like, generally speaking, more recently released franchise stuff seems to imply that no, the Xenomorphs were not created by David.
Right.
But then other things come out that like explicitly call back and make a reference to events in Prometheus and Covenant. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it seems to me that maybe the general consensus, like among Fox, well, among Disney, but you know what I mean,
Sure.
seems to be maybe that the general events, like, in general of those two movies happened, but like specifically the part about David creating them didn't, but like everything else about the movies is true. Maybe, like, I don't really know how to interpret what they're doing with the franchise.
I think I still think that the case that makes the most sense is that David created a modified version of the Xenomorph, which is why it's born quadrupedal, why its life cycle is so much faster, why its teeth, you know, are different. What do they call it? The protomorph that we saw in Covenant, right?
I believe the white ones are the neomorph and the black ones are the praedomorphs.
The praedomorph. That's what I meant. So it's it's obviously a different creature.
Yeah.
Plus there was that supplemental material that said that they knew about the distress signal on LV-426 before Prometheus already, and all that kind of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Some of that's deep lore stuff that only people like us care about, and it's even arguable the degree to which some of us care about it. You know, I don't mean you and me, I mean fans in general, right?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone really gives a shit about that kind of stuff. Yeah,
sure. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to let it ruin my good time, even though it does matter to me.
I mean, we've had a conversation on a previous episode of the show. I want to say it was the Newt's Tale episode where, like, we had a discussion and, like, our decision on, like, the canonicity of the various franchise parts was effectively shrug, who cares? It's all fine.
Sure. Pick and choose your canon. I think that's with a expansive franchise like this, I think that's totally allowed. Yeah. Anyway, back to this Screen Rant article, which I'll drop a link to in the show notes. Like, first of all, it's got one of those attention grabby headline, Alien just changed the franchise's lore with one sentence, right? And it's all about the Alien comic, right? The implication here is the androids are aware of David, and the article is going on to say, like, that means the androids, the synthetics, are aware that David created the Xenomorph. So they're trying to make this claim of David wept, as in David is Jesus, Jesus to the Xenomorphs.
Yeah, he's kind of like the creator god or whatever, and it's like, I don't know about all that.
If I'm understanding this article correctly, they're saying that Freya is like sympathizing with David in this moment where the humans are killing a Xenomorph and taking a trophy, is like, look what they're doing to your creation, David. I don't think that's the right interpretation. This is a kind of psychotic interpretation to me. David is a forefather of synthetics, right? Like he's the first synthetic,
Yeah.
and he's also the synthetic that was like the most human in a lot of ways.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And it just seems like I don't think David's the Jesus for the alien. I think David is the Jesus for the synthetics in general, and especially these advanced synthetics that are so almost human, right? Like, look,
Because like the article says, this is the quote: the comment was presumably a play on Jesus wept, with Jesus swapped with David, since David potentially created the xenomorphs, making him their god. It
right,
seems like the synthetic who made this comment essentially confirmed that David created the xenomorphs. That right there, that last part, that is not the read I had
no,
from seeing that line of somebody saying David wept. That does not imply that they know David created the xenomorphs. That implies that they consider David the equivalent of their god.
right, exactly. That's my reading of it too. But hey, let's find out. Mother at crewexpendable.net.
That's right.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch mostly on the fact that issue 3 dropped a David reference that we didn't pick up on in our conversation.
I can tell you right
Yeah.
now, I definitely did not notice it when we were reading it, like, I don't know, 2 months ago or whenever it was.
Yeah, and that just makes things like really, that's just really fascinating. I mean, he's an interesting character, of course, but like, how do these synthetics so far in the future know David, right? Like,
Yeah, like, even know he existed. And even if he did, how would they, like, how should I phrase this?
Are-
The implication I got from the events of Prometheus and Covenant are that
right.
the things David did are not public knowledge. So how would synths know that he
Sure.
did this?
Well, he did get away. Like we don't know
Mm,
what came of David after
that's true.
Covenant, and we do know there was the transmission he sent to Wayland Yutani that about all the information he found out about the xenomorph, right? The olive branch
Hmm.
he sent them, as he
Yeah.
called it. And this article touches on this too, the idea that that is probably what tipped them off to what the creatures on LV-426 were for them to send the Nostromo.
All right. Fair enough.
We don't know what happened to David. I am hoping maybe that's what the next Marvel arc is going to deal with, right? I mean, this could just very easily have been just like a little Easter egg, right? Just a little continuity, like a nod to the existence of David, right?
I'll admit that is how my brain received that info. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm like surprisingly like gleeful about the possibility that there could be a David centered comic at some point. I don't know. It's just fascinating. I'm just interested.
All right, and I actually got one little thing for you that's only tangentially alien related, so I'll try to make it brief.
All right, let's hear it.
Since we're talking about the creation of xenomorphs, this is actually a question I had earlier on while I was doing something else, like before we started prepping for the episode.
Yeah.
And so, like, as we were even discussing, we're not even really sure if, like, the current canon of Alien even has, like, the David story as their creation story.
Right.
But for the sake of my question, let's just, assume that, like, the canon of the movies is the canon of the franchise.
Uh-huh.
And we've discussed before about how we do not like the fact that, according to this, aliens were invented by somebody like 80 years before the first movie.
Right.
They're not like, some far-flung, like, infinite lasting, like, Lovecraft style race from beyond the stars.
Sure.
We both discussed how we don't like that idea. Now, my question to you is, when you replace the word xenomorph with the word Metroid, does that backstory still piss you off? Or are you okay with it when it's Metroids, but not when it's xenomorphs? And I should let you know right now, this is not intended to be a gotcha. I'm
Yeah.
asking this because I was playing Metroid earlier, and when I
Right.
did, well, not Metroid the game, I was just playing one of the Metroid games earlier, and I was like, wait a minute, oh yeah, shit, that's right, Metroids have like the same backstory xenomorphs do. I wonder if Neal still hates it when it's about xenomorphs and not, or about Metroids and not xenomorphs. I should remember to ask him on the episode.
Well, I'm not afraid of the Metroid creature in the same way that I am the Xenomorph. So I think I'm less invested. I don't know. I think that I need the Xenomorph to be a Lovecraftian horror because I don't want to believe that we could make something so horrible.
All right, that's fair.
Like obviously we have, I mean, we've created nuclear bombs. Like we have the ability to do horrific things, and I have a lot of opinions
Yes.
on the Terminator franchise as well. Another mainstay of my youth, and a series that gets talked about alongside the Alien and Predator franchises pretty often.
Yep.
I don't know why I so badly need the thing that I'm the most of, like the fictional thing I am the most afraid of, to have a to have an origin that would make it scarier to me versus make it less scary.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know what that's about.
Like psychologically speaking, I wouldn't be able to tell you why either, but like on like a core like resonant level that makes sense to me.
I think I need to know that the thing I'm so terrified of is totally outside of my hands, right? Like
it's some sort of external force pressing upon you. I gotcha.
Yeah, there's nothing that could be done about it, right? It existed and it was going to find its way here no matter what we did, right? We didn't invite it here. We didn't have to bring it here. We just were destined to find this thing that was going to that had the potential to wipe us out, totally
Fair
beyond
enough.
our control. That's I think what I need. Metroids I'm not scared of.
Yeah,
I do,
see, that's where it comes down to me. It's like Metroids as a creature. I mean, they're conceptually scary in the sense of they just like, drain life force out of whatever they touch, but they themselves as monsters are not actually scary. So having a backstory where they were like, genetically created for a specific purpose, I'm like, yeah, since Metroids as a creature aren't really scary, sure, like having them manufactured to me feels more correct because I'm not really supposed to be scared of them.
Yeah.
So like having a more rigid backstory feels more natural and correct to me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I should also point out that I'm not super up on my Metroid lore anymore. Like I haven't played all of I've played Zero Mission, Super Metroid Fusion, some of Samus Returns, Prime 1, and some amount of other M. I don't think I ever completed it. So there is Metroid lore. I'm just not, like, I just don't know,
I have beaten all 5 games in the main series and Prime 1, and then I have also played Other M and Prime 2, did not beat either of them, and I have never played Corruption. So I'm like up to date because I've like beaten like all the main games up to and including Dread. So I'm like, I have all of the lore they've released so far in the core video games.
But none of it ever, it did experience, with the exception of kind of the parasite from Fusion.
X.
Yeah, the X parasite.
Yeah.
None of it seemed particularly terrifying, and maybe the X parasite because it is a parasite. It felt more xenomorphy to me than
I mean, I'll admit, man, like is like the whole premise of Fusion is that like a copy of Samus gets made out of an X parasite, and it's like chasing you throughout the facility.
That's pretty dope.
And there are a few parts where like you're walking somewhere and then SAX bursts through the wall, and I'm like, oh shit, and like I just run.
You have to run, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Metroid Fusion, underrated game, by the way.
That game fucking whips.
Yeah. Whatever we were talking about, I don't know. I just kind of want to go play Metroid Fusion now.
I'll admit, since I've been playing Metroid a lot lately, and I knew we were going to be recording this episode, I was like, I need to come up with a way to like work Metroid into this conversation just so I can talk about Metroid on the show for a couple of minutes. And then I happened to have the perfect opening when we just so happened to start talking about the creation myth of the Xenomorphs. And I went, aha.
Well, Kenny, I think we did it.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything else. Final thoughts on this comic. Your rating, go.
Still a banger series. A great entry. Really looking forward to the rest of the story. This definitely is taking things in a direction I wasn't expecting. Finally having some Steel Team casualties, pretty intense, and now seeing this crazy Xenomorph infiltration of the scavengers. Yeah, man, action packed. no idea where the story's going to go from now. Clearly, anybody can die, right? Like Melody is out of the picture. Nora's gone. I guess.
Yeah, Melody got killed. Lee is a xenomorph now. Nora is dead.
I guess Seth is essentially just going to stay there, right?
For now, anyway. Plus, he doesn't even have any eyes anymore.
My prediction is Seth's going to show up in the climax or at the end, maybe.
All right,
he's gonna have a moment in issue 6, I bet.
Okay.
That's my only prediction.
I want to co-sign basically everything you said. This comic rules. It whips. This entry in it is really, really good.
Yes.
And this, with one exception, maybe, this might be my favorite comic we've covered so far on the show.
Yeah, it is for me as well too, and I will include the Aliens Outbreak comics that we haven't released our episodes on. I am enjoying this. Like, it's two different types of story. Like, let's be clear.
It sure is. They are extremely different from each other.
Yeah, but I think like this is a book that you can give to someone who has only a passing familiarity with the alien creature in the franchise, and they will find, like, this is a good way to suck somebody in to like expanded alien stuff, right?
Yeah.
This has just been a great series so far. I'm really excited, and I'm glad that we get to talk about issue 5 on the next episode, because we don't have to wait that long. We're kind of late with this one, but relatively timely for that one. And I just want to explore this story more.
I gotta say, I find it really funny that, like, in most other Alien or, well, Aliens based stories, when the Queen shows up, that's generally the climax of the arc. In this one, things are gonna get so insane that when the Queen shows up, it's only halfway through the story.
Yeah, and then she got a tunnel dropped on her head.
Yeah, so if the Queen only shows up halfway through, we're in for some shit when it hits the climax, and like the Queen isn't even close to when the climax happens. Like, things escalate way beyond that,
Yeah, I'm looking forward
to
it.
Like I said, this comic is really good. It might be my favorite comic we've covered so far on the show, with the possible exception of Archie vs. Predator, because damn, that comic is so much fucking fun.
It is
but
fun.
Like,
we gotta get back to
otherwise,
that too.
We absolutely do. It has been way too long. But otherwise, this might be my favorite comic in the series. And for the 4th episode in a row, as in like Icarus episode in a row, I am going to cannot stress enough to any listener out there, absolutely read this comic.
Read it. Read this book.
Absolutely, under no circumstances should you not, like, Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park voice, drop what you're doing and read it now.
And hold on to your butts.
That is correct.
Right.
It rules. This comic is great. I am absolutely loving reading it. Yes. A+, I'm giving a thumbs up right now.
Kenny, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter and newly also on Goodreads and Letterboxd under the same handle I always use for everything. It's my personal brand at CYHOBBEZ.
And I am on Twitter at Final Neal with an A, Neal, and Instagram at Final Neal Retro. And I do a podcast about Mortal Kombat media called MK Podquest. You can find that at mkpodquest.com. Podquest. I didn't hit the T very well on that. I didn't hit the T hard enough. Podquest. Kenny, where can people find our show on the internet?
Our Twitter handle is at Crew Expendapod. Our Instagram handle is at Crew Expendable Pod, and our website is crewexpendable.net.
Thanks for listening. Rate us, review us, give us good reviews, rate us 5 stars, give us thumbs up on Spotify, all those things. We have been just a couple of scavengers stealing the shuttle of the Alien franchise.
Yes.
I am locker room attendant Hallstrom.
And I am synth who just ripped his own eyes out, Rohrbacher.
And until next time,
Stay frosty.